What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report podcast. I'm your host, Diego. Today, we have an amazing guest in the real estate space, real estate professional Michaelangelo Guevara. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for coming to the studio and taking the trip from Sonoma County. Can't wait to dig into your story. You're in real estate, and we met each other through the elite group from Dan Martell's business coaching program. And when we initially spoke, we got into real estate and kind of talking a little bit about the local real estate marketplace. So before we get into like the details and stuff like that, I'd love to get you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your story. Take us back to the beginning. Love to hear about how you found yourself as a real estate professional to today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a journey. You know, I started real estate when I was 19. Had a friend that was doing real estate, and she invited me to, come check out what she was doing and learn from her a little bit, and ended up getting my real estate license when I was 19. I was still going to college at the time, and kind of doing it as a part-time thing. And as you probably know, real estate isn't meant to do part-time. You got to either be all in or nothing kind of thing. So I did that during college, and that was actually right before the first, big real estate crash. Like there was a big boom. So
are you talking about the financial, like the big financial crisis
prior to like 2008?
Yeah.
So I was selling real estate at that time, trying to figure things out. And
oh, wow.
People were, getting the Nina loans, like no income, no asset. And I thought, wow, this is pretty wacky. Like, how does this make sense? Like,
right.
But I actually didn't really do too well in the beginning of my career, which is probably natural. And
I think that's kind of normal for a lot of realtors or real estate professionals. Unless they join a team and they have like a pipeline of deal flow, you kind of have to, like the prospecting and the amount of work that you have to do, the outreach, and just getting your name out that's extensive. There's a lot of work on the front end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember prior to doing real estate, I actually was in banking. I had a really nice, comfortable job in banking, doing business banking and working with other high net worth people. And one of the things I appreciate about working in banking was they had different frameworks, and I always thought like I wasn't going to be there forever. So I just took what I learned and applied that to real estate. But I guess where was I going with that?
Well, banking, that's, I think of Maria Acosta. Actually, Ryan's mom was on the show, and she started out in banking.
Yeah.
And then jumped into title. And then from title became a realtor. And then from becoming a realtor, she became an investor. And it's this really cool, she has like this really amazing journey, 45-year career or something like that. So it's probably natural that you, coming from the banking world, going into real estate, like it's such a relationship-based industry, the banking. The banking environment.
I think that's where I was going with it. Like, learning how to build relationships, learning how to communicate with people. But yeah, prior to doing real estate, I was doing banking, and I remember when I was going to leave my banking job, I had 3 real estate transactions lined up, ready to go, ready to close. And I put in my 2-week notice, and I said I was going to quit, and I quit my job. It was probably one of the most scary things I did. But like looking back, like probably, wasn't that scary, but like going from having a comfortable income, I kind of think of it as almost like a drug. You get this paycheck every 2 weeks. It's like, I need another paycheck, kind of thing. So not having that, the unknown, going into the unknown, but I had, some transactions lined up, quit my banking job. And then like shortly after that, all 3 transactions just fell through. And I was like, oh.
So they closed?
No, they fell through.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So that must have been scary.
For whatever reason, I think one of them was like a short sale, and we did our inspections, and the buyer didn't feel comfortable. And So
Yeah. And so you started your career in Sonoma County?
I actually started in the Silicon Valley, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so
Where are you from?
from San Jose. Yeah, I grew
Oh,
up
nice.
in the Evergreen area, kind of
Yeah.
like on the east side of San Jose.
Cool.
Yeah.
And did you start doing your real estate work in San Jose, Santa Clara County, or did you move to another county?
Yeah, pretty much mostly all throughout Santa Clara County.
Nice.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a really nice gated community, luxury community out in San Jose. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's called Silver Creek. And
Sounds
there's a
familiar.
couple different
Yeah.
developments
Mm.
there. I think at the time, like when I first started, average price was like 1 million ish. Actually, yeah, it was like 1.8 actually close. I don't remember
Back in
actually.
'08 and or like in the
Actually, yeah, I don't
because those are
remember.
pretty high price points, I think, for that time.
Yeah.
Now it's like the average, right? Like 1.8 million average,
You can barely get a
y-
condo for a
right?
million.
Yeah. So what was the defining moment for you as you were transitioning from your banking career, taking the leap, getting into real estate? What was the defining moment that really helped shape that career for you?
That's a great question. Like defining moment. What do you mean by that?
Well, you decided to take the leap.
Mm-hmm.
So getting out of the banking
Oh,
industry and that drug that you said,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like that paycheck, that weekly paycheck or biweekly paycheck, not knowing what's really next for you in the future, other than like it sounded like you knew that you want to get in real estate. Once you got into the real estate space, was there a defining moment? Was there a deal? Was there a relationship or a transaction that like really solidified in your mind, like, hey, this is what I am like born to do, or this is what I'm meant to do?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I remember actually when I was doing banking and I lined up those three transactions, replaced my whole banking income with three transactions. So I felt like really comfortable to
Mm,
leave my banking job, but after they fell through. But I remember I was actually, I ran into this guy, his name's Joe. And I met him at an open house. I was just like driving through my neighborhood and he had this house for sale. And he said, "Hey Mike, if you don't quit your job now, you're just going to end up staying there for the rest of your life." And I thought, "Wow, that's that's like kind of the truth actually." I don't know if
mm,
it was the truth, but it was like kind of an eye-opening moment for
mm,
me. So
mm-hmm.
that was like what gave me the comfort to leave, I guess, or just like
Confidence.
I was 19 at the time, so it's like
Oh gosh, yeah.
I didn't have any kids. I
You're
didn't
a
have,
kid.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I figured, what do I have to lose? Like, I can always go back if I wanted to, but
yeah.
deep down inside, I said, I'm never going to go back to like the traditional 9 to 5.
Yeah,
Um, and I haven't since. So,
amazing.
um,
So growing up on the peninsula, how did, because of that relationship, I mean, it sounds like community was pivotal for you. Like how has community on the peninsula and now where you live in Sonoma County impact your career?
yeah, I mean, um, I think starting off in the Silicon Valley and then I think everything we went through with COVID
Mm,
actually helped me transform my mind as far as like what is actually possible. Because, you know, before I was actually commuting back and forth between, so I guess going back to your question of the pivotal moment in my
yeah.
career. So when I left my real estate career, all the transactions fell through. I actually was working in that neighborhood. It's called the Bel Air neighborhood, and I didn't have any transactions lined up, and I was door knocking. I was actually coaching with Tony Robbins at the time,
Oh, cool.
and I remember the coach I hired. I was paying $1,200 a month for coaching, and the coach said, "Go knock on some doors." And I thought, like, why am I going to go knock on some doors? I want the magic bullet. I'm paying $1,200 a month here for coaching. Like, give me the marketing framework or
Yeah. Yeah.
something. And she said, like, go knock on doors. And I thought, this is
Mm.
this is kind of stupid, but like,
Did you go knock on
I
doors?
started knocking on doors, and um, actually, I did an open house the weekend prior, and then I knocked on doors like, after the open house, and I knocked on the door. So actually, that weekend, that all the transactions fell through, I put a house in contract, and I think it was don't remember what it was at the time, but it was like my biggest sale of my career. I think it was like 1.8 million. I did an open house, found the buyer, negotiated the offer, got it in contract. So that was really, I think, my pivotal moment where it said, all right, well, yeah, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. So then that weekend after, I, door knocked the neighborhood and then picked up another $1.8 million listing right across the street.
Oh,
The
wow.
homeowner had a rental, and I talked to the renters, and they said, oh yeah, our homeowner's planning on selling.
And you knocked on that door.
I knocked on that door. And
Cool.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of knocking on doors.
Right. Well, I mean, so I think like looking back on it now, I think the reason why my coach said go knock on doors was because after you knock on doors, you build like this immunity to rejection. And I think
that's a good way to describe it for sure.
I think it's essential for any entrepreneur, I think, really
100%.
like to build that muscle, to do the reps, so much you don't feel the pain of rejection anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. You build confidence.
So
yeah. So were you working at a brokerage at the time, or did you start your brokerage right out of the gate?
No, actually, I worked with a mom and pop brokerage, and like after the 2008 crash, they went out of business.
Oh man!
And then I worked with a bigger brokerage. I worked at Keller Williams for a while, and really loved their training. But also, I kind of felt like they sold me some stuff that I didn't really need at the time. And I don't know. I guess looking back on my career, if I were to start it again, I would have. Kind of like what you said earlier, is like find a really great team that, has a, system and a process that you can execute. Whereas I was just kind of doing things on my own. I thought I knew what to do or how to do it. But I think, I remember meeting Gino Blafari. Do you know Gino?
Is he a local guy?
Yeah, he actually started Intero Real Estate.
Oh yeah.
And I remember running to him at Mike Ferry conference, and I asked Gino, I said, hey, Gino, what advice could you give me? I think I was like maybe 6 months in. And he said, hire a coach, hire multiple coaches. So ever since then, I've been
in and out of mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think, a lifelong thing to do, no matter how competent or how confident you are. To have mentorship is, I think, so important in the cultivation of not only opportunities, but like getting to know yourself more and more. I mean, being a human being is just so dynamic, and if you stop learning, then you stop growing. And I think having that type of mindset where you're able to raise your hand and have a dialogue with somebody that's kind of paved the way or has done it before you, either at a higher level or more comprehensively, or however way you want to slice it, I think it's just, such a game-changing experience going through mentorship. At least for me, it's been huge, pivotal. It's helped launch a lot of opportunities, but also mindset growth, problem solving. When I have a problem and I don't know how to solve it, I can call coach. Coach, I've got this going on. What do you think? Or having that dialogue is so huge.
Yeah. Like, have you ever been in a place where you like kind of second guess yourself? Like, you don't know, like, is this the right pathway to take?
Yeah.
Like, and then maybe you do the experiment or you follow that path, and you get faced with rejection, and you're like, oh, maybe that's not the right, but you haven't, maybe it's just like you haven't done enough reps yet.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty interesting too.
Risk
a lot of
tolerance
people
too.
quit, like they don't do enough reps and they quit too far. Like,
oh yeah.
Too quick.
And they're like a lot of the times when they quit too, they're like right at that moment where they're going to persevere, or there's going to be a triumph or victory.
Right.
It's really interesting. Like we talked about this before on the show, that meme, the guy that's digging in the tunnel looking for diamonds.
Right.
And then he quits, but the guy above him who's, chipping away at it.
2 inches away.
He's like 2 inches away. I think a risk management too with mentorship, because you can have that dialogue with your coach or your mentor about risk. Is it too risky? Should I like to use the analogy of like either you're skiing on a mountain or you're climbing a mountain, and you've got, somebody that has climbed it before you with you, and you're trying to, climb a boulder or move across a crevasse, or you're trying to ski a line, and you don't know if it's safe. but you talk to your guy or your gal, whoever's there with you, like, hey, if I take this route, do you think it's safe? Or hey, like if I move in this direction, do you think the snow will move? Like having that dialogue with somebody, I think is so important, because if you just have it internally,
Right.
that risk tolerance may come down quite a bit or may go up quite a bit. There's no dialogue. You know
Yeah.
what I
How do
mean?
you, how do you, I'm curious how you frame that risk tolerance. Like, is there a question that you ask yourself? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like, hey, is this safe?
yeah.
Am I going to get in some serious trouble if I make this decision? And
That's a great question.
and to have that feedback loop of
Yeah.
like, actually I did that and it is really risky. And in fact, I lost my shorts. So you shouldn't probably do it that way. You should probably do it that way.
Right.
And that mitigation, or those bumpers or those guardrails
Right.
are there for you to visualize and kind of work with, instead of just kind of going
Right.
at it without them, which, in my earlier career as an entrepreneur, I didn't have a lot of mentorship or coaching. And I'm the kind of person that just jumps into things, especially at a younger age. I would just jump into things without
Just
really,
like full steam, not think
Yeah.
about the consequence.
exactly. And I would learn like through a lot of mistakes, which I think is great. But once I got some mentorship and some guidance, that risk tolerance was manageable, and I felt like I had more confidence going into things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess when I think about risk tolerance, like the question I ask is like, if I do that thing, am I going to die? So that's like pretty high risk tolerance
Totally.
right there. And
Totally.
then the second question is like, am I going to go to jail? Like, is this ethical?
Am I going to be?
And then like,
Yeah.
and then I kind of think about it in terms of like an electric fence, right? Like, I don't ever want to dance around like the electric fence. Like if that's too close to the fence, I'm staying far away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of think about things in those terms. Like,
So you were at Keller Williams. Sounds like you jumped out of that brokerage. Is that when you started your own?
no, actually I started to work with Gino at Intero.
Oh, okay.
And I think Intero is actually owned by Berkshire Hathaway now. And then he actually ran Berkshire Hathaway. He sold his company to Berkshire Hathaway.
Amazing.
And I think he ran, like Home Services of America for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, super grateful for him. He's awesome leader, and like just like the different frameworks. It's interesting going from like, Keller Williams to Intero is a completely different ecosystem environment of how they do things. And I think just they had like a culture of production, whereas I felt like at the other place it was like there were, I guess it almost felt like they were stuck in training almost. Like
and you worked with Gino for a while?
well, I worked at Intero, and yeah, he had the way they operate is they have different branch managers. So I had a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the Silver Creek office for a while with Chris Hawkins. I'm not sure if he's around. And then I actually moved to their Santana Row branch, which was pretty fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah, but that was a busy office.
Surprisingly not busy.
Oh,
Like the
really?
location wasn't that great. We did get a couple walk-ins, but and I guess that's where I started to learn about real estate. Like the business isn't going to come to you. You got to go out.
You got to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so were you at Intero the majority of your career, or were you
Gosh,
at
I think
Keller
I was there
mostly?
at least I don't know, a couple, like at least 5 or 6 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I moved
Cool.
from like their Santana Row office to their
Mhm.
Evergreen office, which is where I grew up, because I figured, hey, I grew
Yep.
up in this area, I know this area, and did pretty well, and actually like still sell a lot of real estate in that Evergreen, Silver Creek, Bel Air neighborhood.
Awesome.
So
And when did you start Vara, your brokerage?
yeah, so from Intero, I guess I had this thought like, oh, I really want to sell luxury real estate, so I moved to Lawn Pennell Realtors. I don't know if you heard of them. Do you
No,
remember
is that
them?
another boutique?
Yeah, they were a boutique brokerage. They
Mhm.
sold really high end real estate, and they actually just a few years ago just got bought by Compass, which was pretty interesting to see. Like because I think Paul Hume, I heard rumors that he said, "Oh, I'll never sell this company. I'm gonna have this company until I die." And I kind of thought, well, that's the type of company I'd want to build, you know.
Mhm.
So, but I guess I'm not sure what happened. I think, yeah, I think maybe a couple of their key players left, and I think he was just kind of had his back up against the wall, and like I
Mm.
know this is all rumors. I don't know if it's true or not,
Sure.
but he felt like I heard he was like almost forced to sell,
Oh, wow.
which I don't know if it's true or not. Would be
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
too bad.
curious. Maybe you can have him here on your podcast.
Yeah, I would love to
He
have
could
him.
run down the
Absolutely.
story.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's still around.
You guys keep in touch?
No, I haven't. My broker there was Dave Walsh, and he's still around.
Okay.
He would be a really great
Yeah,
guy to
I've heard of
interview.
Dave. Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
he does pretty good stuff. Um, and so the Vara Realty, what inspired you to go out on your own? It sounded like you were kind of in some pretty decent offices. You were doing deals. What inspired you to do it on your own?
Yeah, so I mean, when I moved from Keller Williams to Intero, my real estate business doubled. Then when I moved from Intero to Lon Pinell Realtors, my real estate business doubled. And I guess I was just looking at like how much I was actually paying to the brokerage. And I think one year I paid like $80,000 in broker fees. And I kind of felt like, well, you know, if I'm paying $80,000 to a brokerage, maybe I can start my own brokerage.
Mm.
And Dave Walsh, he actually signed my broker application because, you know, you need to do real estate for a little while
Mm-hmm.
and have a broker sign off on
Mhm.
your application. So super grateful for him on
So
having him sign my broker application. And so from there, I actually didn't start Vara. I went to a discount brokerage. I'm not sure if they're a discount brokerage, but just like a brokerage that
Mhm.
has like really low fees.
Mhm.
It was a pretty good model, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was able to build our brand. Like I was building the brokerage's brand, not our brokerage's brand.
Yeah.
So that's really what led me to start Vara.
So you it sounds like you decided to become an owner. You wanted to be, because that story of you being a banker, working for a bank, getting that paycheck every 2 months was still like an employee kind of mindset. But then going through these brokerages and having to pay these brokerage fees and having to work under others, sounded like there was a calling here for you. Like you wanted to be your own boss. You wanted to be an owner. Tell me a little bit more about that experience.
Well, I guess what I started to discover, like being a real estate agent and then being a broker, are completely like two different animals. Like, and it's like there's different levels. Like,
Mhm.
it's great being a real estate agent. It's great doing both.
Mhm.
But I guess what I like looking back on things now, like paying the broker fees, I mean, it's not so bad. I remember when I first started Vara, that was probably one of the hardest points in my life because I needed to build the systems, build the process, build the checklist, make sure everything is in compliance. So my production actually went down when I started
Mm.
Vara for the first probably 2 years. Like it was,
You got to build out the machine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had to look for, assistance and like, we have a really great transaction coordinator now.
Mm-hmm.
So like looking back on that, like even like, office costs and all that and having all the different locations, like Lon Pinell Realtors, they had offices all over the county. You can just like plug and play. But I guess with COVID, like nobody really goes to the office. Even you go to any brokerage,
Yeah.
like there's probably like the front staff and then maybe one or two agents and the office manager. And then I guess they have their, weekly meetings, right?
Yep.
But I guess like, yeah, with COVID, it kind of changed like the whole paradigm of what is possible and what could be done. Actually, that's what I experienced.
I agree with you. A big reason why I jumped on EXP is because of the whole cloud-based model. Having this digital world that I can jump into and work with agents nationwide, internationally, has been so cool. I've got a client buyer that I'm working with right now who's looking to relocate from Odessa to Dallas. and I'm able to work with those agents out there and get a nice referral fee, and then help this really great person find a 4 unit, to house hack. And to
Cool.
do that, at a, Coldwell Banker or a Keller Williams would be, I think, a little more difficult because of the referral programs between, brokerages. It's just a little bit more paperwork. And speaking to the other side of the coin, my cousin does a lot of luxury real estate in Miami, and I told him about the EXP model, and he, even through COVID, was like, I don't care about anything else but walking into my office and talking to my agents. Like, I need to be face to face. I need my brick and mortar. I need to be able to do this on a daily basis. So even through COVID, he was still trying to rally the troops and get together.
Mm-hmm.
And he really identifies with that model. But the international and continental frameworks that like EXP has put together has been game changing for me, because now I can do deals like nationwide, and it's really easy to just jump into the world, walk into my broker's office, talk directly with anybody that I need to, and then get a referral, and or walk into the Slack channel and get a referral. It's really, really cool.
Yeah,
Really,
absolutely.
really good.
I
Really
think
good
if I
model.
wasn't building Vara, like that would be the brokerage I would go to.
You
like,
could build borrow inside of EXP,
yeah.
which is really cool.
I guess that's one thought I have, but I guess like the other thought I have too is like going from agent to broker to brokerage. I think it's like I guess like a different, I think playing at the broker level is I guess like unlocks a different um I guess like, you could be an agent, do 100 million in sales, make a lot of money. And then like the brokerage model, like building the brokerage, I
Yeah.
think that's like the $1 billion plan.
You're building teams.
Whereas like, I think like being an agent, like I have a couple friends that, do 700 million in sales, and they're, running their shop at EXP and they're completely happy. But I also think like, I'm not sure if they could unlock that $1 billion plan without building a brokerage.
So Paul Frank, are you familiar with Paul Frank and John Bias? They're with the PDF group, and they're out of the Sacramento County area.
Oh, okay.
They're in Rockland, and they're my commercial team. I work with them, and Paul was kind of in the same situation. He had his own brokerage, he had his own team, all his transaction coordinators, his assistants, and everything, and was doing very well, and was reluctant to move into any other brokerage or team or anything like that, but found out through EXP that he could build his team. He could still continue to market himself as Paul Frank, and jumped into the brokerage reluctantly, but ended up absolutely crushing it. And now they're doing, I can't remember how much in sales, but they're like one of the most successful commercial real estate brokerages in the country.
Right.
And they're doing so well. But it's like in construction too. I mean, it's just a crowded industry. With Vara, how are you carving out your lane? How are you differentiating yourself from the other brokerages? Because there's lots of boutiques, there's the big name brands, there's the big boxes. Like, what are you guys doing that you're really excited about right now?
Yeah. So I guess my thought process is what a lot of agents struggle with is like client acquisition. So I'm pretty much have built a framework of like, well, how do you generate clients like on demand? And I don't know, I haven't really found a brokerage that really does that, for their agents, where they can, be an agent, service the client, work with the client. So, we're carving out, certain niches within the market, like who we really love to work with and who really loves to work with us are people that, feel like they've been in their home for 30 years. At one point their home was a blessing, and now it's just become a burden because of the maintenance cost and, the cost of living. So we'll work with them, and we have like 3 different frameworks we kind of go by. when we're helping them sell their home. Like my thought process is, how can I make it as easy as possible for people to work with us? And how can we make it as easy for them to get their desired outcome, like by snapping your fingers? I kind of like think about like Amazon's model, how they've done such a great job of like, hey, you need this thing? Here it is. It'll be there in 2 days, you know? So that's kind of the philosophy that we're building out at Vara Realty. And I'm not sure if you know, Vara stands for value, action, results, and accountability.
Oh, cool.
So
I did not know that. I thought it was just like a name play off of your last name.
yeah,
Guevara.
yeah,
Which is probably
and
both.
actually, it kind of is and it isn't. I remember sitting in my office trying to figure out what names were available and trying to figure out like, what am I going to name this company? You know, and I spent like weeks. I think I probably spent more time than I probably should have on that little, I guess little but not little detail. You know?
Yeah.
So
well, you're birthing something, and I think that's really special. So taking that additional time is you know, it's your baby, right? Like if you're connected to it and you're passionate about it and you love it, of course you're going to take some time.
Yeah, yeah. Like, have you ever heard of the story about the guy that founded Sony?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
I'd love to hear the story.
I think like at one point there was another company that offered like him, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars to buy Sony, and he was like, "No, I'm not going to sell it. I'm building something greater." And so that's kind of the way I feel about building Vara. It's like, well, I could join EXP, but I feel like I'm building something greater. And it's interesting because I think you know Kenny Fast. I think he was like the top team, like number one EXP.
Kenny he's just on fire,
crushing it. And I asked him, I said, hey, you know, if you were to start a brokerage, like what would you do? He's like, number one, I wouldn't start a brokerage. And then he said, you know, I would double down on events and training. So, so I kind of feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm probably doing something maybe like the normal person wouldn't want to do. And I know like a lot of people say, I wouldn't start a brokerage. There's like too much liability, you know? It's like, well, there is a lot of liability, you know, if you don't do things right, if you don't take care of people. But I think, you know, if you take really great care of people, there's the risk of liability goes down. And we don't just bring on anybody at Vara Realty. Like, you know, we have certain standards, you know, people need to meet. And, you know, mostly it's really like about like character traits, like integrity. And it's interesting because as I go through this path of entrepreneurship, I remember like one of the first buyer agents and showing agents we brought on, like I didn't have any standards for hiring. I just like, oh, he's a body, he's willing to work. Like, let's do this, you know? And we would have open houses, and I turned out he had alcohol problems, and like, you know, open house starts at 2:00 and maybe he would come by at like 2:30. It's like, oh, the signs aren't out. Like, whoa, what is going on? And I think that's probably a struggle maybe with most entrepreneurs. Like I talk to small business owners, they say it's hard to find the right people.
Well, you talk about, I mean, when you talk about that, Dan comes to mind immediately because he'd always say, you don't have a people problem,
right?
You've got a process problem,
right?
So going back to that process of vetting these
it's like I didn't have a process.
So that's you know, it's kind of interesting how that works out. Like I'm sure once you put in the process and you started to vet these people that came into your door, you know, things probably started to click a little bit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those mistakes lead me to where I am today. Like, like we don't bring on anybody that, you know, wants to get their real estate license and wants to sell real estate. They gotta.
What do you think most brokerages and or realtors do wrong today in this market?
I guess one thing I think about is like mindset. Like they go in, I don't know if, you know, they see all these real estate shows and like they think it's like really easy and, you know, they're going to make a lot of money fast, but they don't see the work and the reps behind, you know, the camera of like what it takes. So,
underestimating what they're getting into, maybe.
And I think probably maybe shifting like vision from like short-term, like paycheck to like long-term legacy, I think is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think even like me, when I think more long-term, I make better decisions.
Yeah. I learned also that it's not like if I'm constantly focused on deals, they don't come around. But if I'm focused on building relationships and getting into rooms that with people who are doing a lot of deals or cultivating opportunities and prospecting and building my business, and I'm working on bringing value to the world, then the deals begin to come and show
Right.
up, which I think is so in a lot of beginners' minds, like counterintuitive. Like, don't I need to go and, you know, like do the deal first? And it's like, no, you need to build a relationship first. You need to build a community or get yourself in a community. That way you've got an opportunity to cultivate.
Well, and I
Deal
think there's
flow.
like so many things that a new agent may not even know as well too. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to an agent that helped us with our San Diego listing, like
Mm.
brand new. And I said, you know, have you done any transactions yet? And he was like, oh no, I haven't done any transactions. And I said, do you know how to explain the purchase agreement? And he was like, no, I don't know how to explain the purchase agreement. So I think like
Licensed agent.
yeah, licensed agent. So like me, I remember when I was at that point starting out, like
Yeah.
I didn't do any transactions until I actually learned to read through the purchase agreement and learn how to explain it.
Yeah.
Because I think deep down subconsciously, like I didn't even know like that was a thing, like that was holding me back from, you know, writing up a purchase agreement. But the thing is like, you don't know how to write it up or you don't know how to explain it. How likely are you to do the thing?
It's true. It's true. And something that's very different when I think, because I do a lot of construction as well, that in the construction world, when you get licensed, you need to have real world experience before getting your license. Like you have to work for a builder, you have to swing the hammer for an X amount of time or do whatever trade for an X amount of time.
Yeah, like how much time does it take?
It's 5 years. So you need 5 years of real world experience before you can sit down for the license. In real estate, it's like you could just read a couple of books and then sit down for the license, which I think in construction, it's kind of a low bar, unfortunately, but in real estate, it's the same. Like if you don't have real world experience before getting your license, you're like this agent who just jumps in, and it's like the most important component of a transaction is understanding the purchase and sale agreement, like, and then conveying that to your client in a way that's going to mitigate risk, build transparency, grow confidence in your business, and get the deal done ultimately. So when I hear that, it's just like, well, I don't think I think of don't hate the player, hate the game kind of thing.
Right.
Like there needs to be a higher understanding or a higher like power here where there's transparency, reliability, and like people need to be filtered out before they can even sit down for the test. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like, you know, I've worked with other clients where they'll like, you know, they'll meet the handyman that can do the bathroom remodel, and then later find out like, oh yeah, I went, you know, the cheaper route, and they forgot to put the vapor barrier in. Like,
oh gosh.
and
like
now
sometimes the cheaper route is the more expensive route.
now they have to redo the bathroom again, you know, because they took the cheaper route.
The cheaper route, and they tried to cut corners.
And I think maybe it's the same with agents too. Like there's some agents out there that don't do, like they don't even have a checklist. Like this is a process for how we list house, and this is how we get, you know, amazing results.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because earlier you asked like, you know, who do you guys like to work with? And, you know, people that are, I guess like downsizing, like not really downsizing. I guess they're downsizing their problems and like upgrading their life.
Mm.
And I think about some of the people that we don't get to. Like I remember meeting a client, and they needed to sell their house because they needed the money for their family to pay for care.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up selling to an investor, which, you know, is fine. But my goal is to get to those people before they're in that situation. I'm not sure if you've seen that too.
Yeah. 100%.
And then there's also different types of investors out there. Like I kind of like group them into 3 types of investors. Like there's like the wholesale investor that, you know, will find the property, you know, that's worth, you know, 2.2 and tie it up for $1 million and then sell it to a flipper,
Mm-hmm.
and then like, you know, you have the flipper investor, they'll make money on that margin,
Mm-hmm.
or you have like the end user, or I like to call them like legacy investors,
The buy and holder.
like the investor that wants to buy, and they're like building a legacy in a portfolio
Yeah.
For their family. So I love, you know, I have a bunch of legacy investors that we work with. So
do you know GW Williams, that brokerage?
I haven't heard of them.
GW Williams, this guy is my hero. He started a construction and real estate company here on the peninsula in the Bay Area in like the 20s or 30s. And now it's like they just, I think as of 2023, celebrated their 100-year anniversary as a family business. They do asset management. They're international now. But when they first started, they were just building houses and selling them to military veterans that were coming back from World War II. And so they built like the Sunnybrae neighborhood in San Mateo. They built Moffett Field. They built like a big amount of the Stanford campus.
Oh, wow.
And they just are like such heavy hitters, such the shoes.
They're like legacy investors, like
total legacy to the point where like now they've got planes. They can jump on a plane, look at an asset in Florida, go to Switzerland, look at something. That type of legacy is not what you don't really see too much of that in the newer generations that are coming into the space. It's a lot of the old money and a lot of the older brokerages that have developed this kind of mindset and have been able to position themselves and their heirs in a way that preserves that wealth. And that to me is just so inspiring. So GW, his grandson actually sold me this place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
awesome.
and so Bob and his wife actually moved out of California to go live in South Dakota, because they're big Airstream folks, and Rapid City right there is like Grand Central Station.
Oh, sweet.
So they moved out, and just ever since we like met, which was through a construction project on his 20 units in town, it just became really good friends. I've learned so much about real estate from Bob because he's a commercial real estate advisor, helped Berkeley and some of these other big institutions on their leases and on their acquisitions. It's just like when I think of legacy, I think of that family.
That's amazing.
And it's so amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, you know, sometimes, you know, behind the scenes, or, you know, when you're stuck in your day to day, you don't, I guess some people don't realize like just how much money there is in the world, which is
trillions and trillions of dollars. There's so much money floating around, and they're going to continue to print it. So buying real world assets with that fiat currency, in my opinion, is the way to go. So a big reason why we do this show is to help empower investors take that fiat and move it into real world assets that drip, that will pay you either dividends or passive income from rents or whatever it is. And I think actually probably a good segue into the market insights for the show today, because you're based out of Sonoma County. You know, I'm in San Mateo County. It sounds like you're doing deals all over the place. Can you speak to winning offers right now for buyers, and then also speak to what you're seeing from the selling side within the residential real estate space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this time of year is actually interesting. You know, over the past 22 years, tracking the real estate market, I think what I find the most interesting is like during Thanksgiving and holidays. I guess like agents and some sellers, you know, they get sleep. Actually, we were my wife and I actually work together, and I actually love working with my wife because some people say she's actually too nice. Like, she has like the sweetest heart, and they're like, I don't want Emily to negotiate for you. I want Michaelangelo to negotiate. But my wife's like more of the relationship based side, where I'm like, let's, you know, follow the checklist, follow the protocol. Let's fly the plane and get to our destination, where, you know, she's kind of like, you know, taking care of them, the nurturer kind of thing. So I really feel like we have a good thing going. But going back to like the real estate market and the current climate conditions, I feel like a lot of, you know, people get sleepy during this time, as far as like we were trying to schedule a showing. In the agent notes, it says motivated seller. We messaged the agent at like 8 o'clock at night, said, hey, we have a client that wants to see the house, tomorrow at 10. We didn't get a response back from the agent till like the next day at 9 o'clock. And she said, oh, we need like a 4-hour notice before you can show the house.
Because there's tenants or what?
Because it was occupied, which is like, well, if you answered your phone like 8 o'clock, so it's like, motivated seller, maybe not so motivated agent. So I think it's important to have like, I guess like it's important to have like the interview questions of like, well, how are you going to show up? And like, like me, I have 3 kids. So I have to build like a system and a process for when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. But I have, our, executive team and admin team to like fill in, when I'm not there to make sure like the phone is being answered. And it's so interesting because it's so easy nowadays for sellers to, if they choose the right agent, to set up like an automated showing where people can go in and book and they get a notification, they could approve or deny. It's like, why didn't they set up that system if they're so motivated?
Yeah.
So I think there's just a lot of different little nuances, like, maybe the general public doesn't know about, hiring, what to ask an agent when they're hiring them. So, yeah.
And so something that comes to mind for me is, and I see quite a bit here in San Mateo County, is this wealth transfer that we're on the cusp of. We're looking at this older generation, the boomers that are going to be selling their businesses, are going to be selling their real estate. And the next generations, Generation X and the millennials, are up to bat. They're going to take over and or buy and or all these assets are going to convey to these new generations. And I think the boomers, particularly the boomers in our county, have done so well with their real estate because they bought here in California, as you know, appreciation is 8 to 12% year over year, depending on what neighborhood you're in. And if you bought something in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you're probably looking at $1 million in gain.
Right.
Which is awesome. Everybody in that, I think, generation has done really, really well.
Yeah, probably actually more than $1 million.
Oh,
I was looking at the numbers, like every 10 years, like it seems like
it doubles.
Real estate doubles.
Yeah. So what do you think about this generational transfer of wealth to us, the millennials or Gen X, and how is that impacting the market? And I'll throw a little spice on this question because it's all over the internet right now, the 50-year mortgage. How are some of these, boomers that are sitting on their assets that they own outright with a tremendous amount of capital gains that want to retire and move to Florida, they want to go to, South Dakota, for crying out loud, or some other state without having to get kicked in the shorts in capital gains taxes. I find that to be a big challenge. The markets in that regard, like what do you do when you come across something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I'm a big fan of like building wealth, and like so I kind of look at things in that framework. And like I guess like one of the things I've seen like during COVID, like people leaving California, selling their real estate, and then like I've actually had a lot of people come back. Like I've had clients move to Texas and say, they've had this dream of like owning acreage, and like they call us back and say,
the weather sucks.
Like Texas. Like I find myself just doing landscaping projects with my free time. I want to come back to California. So a lot of times actually before people even move, we'll do an equity evaluation and a rental analysis. And we show them the options of like, hey, this is what you can rent. And most of the time, if they've lived there for 20 or 30 years, they can cash flow positively on their real estate. So we always give them that option, but then they also have the fear of like, well, having bad tenants and managing that and
being a landlord.
Yeah. So whereas like we don't actually actively manage property like for the public, but for our clients, we'll help them,
Get them
find
set
really
up.
great tenants. And
Yeah.
part of my intention with that is like one day I'd like to own, thousands of units. So I was like, well, why don't I just start building the framework
Yeah.
of how to manage properties now?
I think that's a mindset issue with that generation, because they want to retire. They don't want to become a landlord. But if you become a landlord and you show the IRS that your homestead, and I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but the $500,000 deferral of capital gains tax if you're married might increase to $1 million.
That would be sweet.
That would be
incredible.
sweet. But to defer all of the capital gains, you would have to show the IRS that it's now an investment property. And that will require 3 years of putting a tenant in and managing the property and doing all that stuff. So I find that in those situations, there's a little resistance from those owners, because they don't want to be landlords. They just want to retire, but they don't want to get hit with a huge bill. I always like looking at seller finance in that situation, because then they can take that real world asset and they can leverage it and get passive income and defer the taxes over a longer period of time, and not have to deal with the troubles of managing the real estate. And they know the asset like the back of their hand. So becoming the bank in that situation for a seller like that, I think makes all the sense. If I put myself in those shoes,
Oh, absolutely.
all day, like I would seller finance all day and just get mailbox money all day. And then,
Because then you don't actually own it as a rental. You own it as a bank.
exactly.
So you don't have to worry about the day-to-day management.
And and the amount of taxes that you pay on it is much less. Of course you have to, create the note and lengthen the time so that whatever money you get per year, you pay the taxes on that. And that's doable for you. But you could, like, with this 50-year mortgage, man, like you're going to be in perpetual debt, and the amount of interest that you're going to be paying is probably going to be double of what the purchase price is. Easy.
Right.
So I don't know how you feel about the 50-year, but when I think of the 50-year, I just think of leverage and how you have an opportunity to get into something, and then depending on the property, you could add value, it could appreciate,
Mhm.
and rolling that. It doesn't have to be at year 50. It could be year 15 or 5 or 20 or whatever.
Right. My thought is, why not make it 150? The payments would be so low. Like I kind of think, like, I guess like the goal, like the thing about real estate is, like, even here in California, it's like if you're not on the train, it's leaving whether you're on it or
You're
not.
on it or not.
So I think like that the 50-year mortgage opens the opportunity for the people that can't get on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, live in their house. I guess now it's like closer to, is it like 10 years now?
I think
Whereas
average
before
is
it was
10.
like 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it depends on what the strategy is. Like if you're gonna, if you just need a way to get in the door, it's a great option. Where I think, like, people are complaining about the interest.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna pay $1 million in interest. Well, if you only own it for 5 years, or like if that's just the stepping stone, like maybe it's just meant to be a stepping stone, not like.
I agree. And a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the internet doesn't address the appreciation, doesn't address what you're going to do with the property, doesn't address the unique situation of that particular piece of real estate and the individuals that are involved with it. Like it's just like you said, I think a really, really good stepping stone. But something else I want to talk about today too, Mike, is because this show is called Wealth and Wellness. The Wealth and Wellness Report. And so how we manage our stress levels and how we take care of our bodies and how we manage the day to day is so important as an entrepreneur. Real estate can be an emotional roller coaster. How do you manage stress in your day to day?
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember, like, even looking back on my career of, like, having those, 3 transactions lining up and then like falling through, and then like not having that like break me. I guess, like, as you grow and you get better, I guess like you just position yourself, you make better decisions about how you operate. So I think one big game changer for me is, working with Dan Martell and, his 5 daily non-negotiables. because being an entrepreneur, there's like so many different shiny objects of like what you can do and what you're, it's like
so many ways to make money in real estate.
So I think having those 5 daily non-negotiables have helped me. Like, yeah, it was interesting because like before I started coaching with Dan to like coaching with Dan is just like a dramatic difference as far as like I remember, I guess even in my marriage, like how it's helped me create more awareness of like, I think it's interesting because like the other day I was sitting in the sauna, at the gym, and like there's these 2 guys that walk in and they're both divorced, and they're just like talking about their wives, and they're just like, oh yeah, like my wife, I don't remember what they were complaining about, but it's like, like you could choose who you want to take advice from. Like the guy that's divorced, like living this story of like just playing small. Like his wife, I don't know, wanted, a new house. Like, well, why don't you step up and become the man to get that house? Like, how about that? Like,
I love that.
Which I kind of feel like, and I just was like, all right, my time's up. I'm out. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like
that kind of dude, I'm with you.
But I just feel like there's just
100%.
so much, I guess like you could view it in 2 different lenses.
Yeah.
And it's like, Dan, like I love Dan, and he's like, living this amazing life. And you ask him, how's his relationship with his wife? He's like, incredible. It's like, what lens are you looking at things through? So like in that regard, I think it's helped me transform the way I look at my marriage. And like, I remember like before coaching with Dan, we were just kind of like scraping by. And then after coaching with Dan, like I remember like within the first 2 months, like we paid off. I had tax debt. We had like over $150,000 of tax debt. And on my wife's heart was to buy a house in Windsor, because we lived in Campbell for a while, and then she grew up in Windsor, so she had this heart to move up to Sonoma County. And I saw that, well, if that's on, dude, if that's on her heart, like I'm gonna make it happen. And like we moved up to Sonoma County, and it was interesting. We were walking in our old neighborhood. We ran into a guy, and he was like, "Hey, I have this house available. Do you want to rent it?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll take it." And then like I think the week later is when the fires happened, which I was like, "Man, this is crazy. I don't."
That is wild.
I don't know if So
this was the right decision. For folks that don't know about Dan's coaching program and his 5 daily non-negotiables, can you tell us what those are?
Yeah, absolutely. So number 1 is to review your goals 3 times a day. Number 2, I guess I'm not sure if you do it in a specific sequence. Do you do yours in a specific sequence?
I get my first non-negotiable done in the morning, which is sweat. Getting my exercise in. That's like my church in the morning. Like I meditate, I have a moment, I drink my coffee, I do my pre-workout, and then I get right into the gym. I get back from the gym, and then I start prospecting. Then I start calling people.
Right.
And which is another non-negotiable.
5 daily opens.
Yep.
And then 3 posts a day where you're speaking on camera, which I probably could do a better job.
Yeah.
At that.
I think all of us can, including myself, because it's the time to digitize your reputation. And with the advent of AI and how things are going completely digital, to bring in human nature and to bring in some realness, and to just take your phone and record yourself, or have a camera or something and record yourself, like it's real. It's promised. This isn't AI, you guys. This is like real conversation with real people. And nowadays you can go onto YouTube and you can have AI create a podcast for you with AI avatars, and it's freaking wild. But you have something that's human-centered, that's real, that talks about real-world stuff. People are going to be attracted to that as AI begins to ramp up, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really about, who you're working with, really, because like you could work with the humanoid bot, but like, do you really want to work with the?
They're coming out, man.
I actually think it's probably going to be a game of like who owns the most humanoid bots that wins, which I guess Elon has like a level up on that part.
Apparently there's going to be billions of robots.
Yeah,
and
he's talking about, I think, launching $1 million a month out of Fremont,
isn't that wild?
which is.
And I've seen some of them, and
But
they're going for like
I
20
can't,
grand
I
a
can't
pop.
wait to get one. I can't wait.
I kind of wanted to get one too. They're gonna do my laundry. They're gonna cook me dinner. Like
meal prep. Yeah.
like I can hang out with my wife more. Like, we'll see.
Yeah,
how
then
that
I
goes.
think it's just going to be really about the human and the strategy behind, you know, what
Mhm.
we're trying to create. And I think the world
true.
is going to be, you know, probably even better. I guess like it could go two ways, right? Like
Yeah,
it goes like, you know, we're enslaved by robots, or like the robots are working for us. And I guess it's interesting because I heard, did you hear his keynote?
No,
He talked about like criminals having a bot assigned to them. So the bot would say, "Hey, buddy, you're making a bad decision." Like,
Oh wow,
which is like, could you imagine, like, you know, like
wow.
people having like an accountability partner?
Going back to that risk management conversation that we were having with mentorship, like that comes to mind immediately. It's like having that risk mitigation conversation with your droid.
Right.
It's kind
And
of
it's
wild
like,
to think about.
Yeah, like who wouldn't want to have like R2D2 hanging out with
Right?
them and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Or what was the other one? C3PO or 3PCO? Or I can't. I'm a dyslexic. I can't remember. But
yeah. So going back to the daily non-negotiables, review your goals.
Yep.
Opens.
Sweat.
5 daily opens.
Mhm.
Sweat.
Mhm. Read
10 pages a day.
Mhm.
And what was the fifth one?
The fifth one is to get in front of the camera, record yourself.
Well, that's part of the reels, right? Like,
The reels. Yeah. Yep.
so sweat,
Review your goals,
5 opens,
reels, 5 opens,
reels.
and there was one more. Dan's gonna get mad.
We probably both need work on that one. Right?
Clearly.
I got it in my notes here.
And then I got
All right, so
another
trigger
question for you.
review goals, 45 minutes of workout, must
Yep.
break a sweat.
That's 2.
Read 10 pages,
Yep.
3 social media. I think we got it. We just don't know our math.
Okay.
And 5 daily opens.
That's right, David. 5 daily opens. What's one thing that you've learned about with human nature through your career? Because real estate is such a relationship-based business. What's one thing you've learned about human nature throughout your career?
Yeah, I guess like I remember like early on in my career, I used to work with anybody that would want to work with me. And I remember going back to my broker, Dave, I remember I had this really crummy client. He actually was selling a house right here in San Mateo. It was like San Mateo Palo Alto borderline. You know that borderline?
You mean San Mateo Hillsborough or San Mateo
right
County?
off of Willow Road.
Oh, San Mateo County
Yeah.
and Santa Clara County,
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was selling this house, and I don't know, I'd probably say the big learning lesson from that client was I'd never want to work with the client like that again, just because, you know, he would yell at me. You know,
Man. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is like very abusive. It was very abusive. And my broker at that time, Dave, was like, Mike, like if you prospect, like you get to choose who you want to work with.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
like, I guess you choose your hard, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so do you like decide to work, you know, with anyone, or do you put in the reps and do the work? So
What's your method for dealing with rejections or slow seasons?
yeah, slow season. What's that? You know, I guess like
good.
I guess after coaching with Dan, it's like what is it like a slow season? And I guess like one of the great questions that he asked me was like, what conditions need to exist in order to blank? So I just think about that and like, you know, stay focused on the goal and who we're working to help. We actually have created like the other problem where we're getting to the point where, you know, we have so many different clients. We actually need to onboard more agents to help service those clients. So I think it's really, you know, what problem are you solving? And then getting that message out to the world. And then, you know, people pick and choose. People really love what we do at Vara Realty, you know, going back to like the 3 types of like the way to sell. Like you can sell it to like an all cash end user, usually typically that's like the best seller in my mind, or like that legacy investor. Or you could, do a little bit of work to your house and maximize your sale, or you can go all out, which sometimes doesn't actually make sense to go all out. Like we recently had a sale, like property on the market was like kind of a tear down. So like to fix it up was like, didn't make sense because you're going to tear it down unless you're going to like subdivide the parcels and build other property. So we like guide our clients through that process of like, and other clients, have different bandwidth. They're like, yeah, I really want to like do a little bit to maximize my equity. Yeah. And for your audience, like anybody that would like, an equity evaluation and rental analysis, if they, find me on Instagram, Mike, my agent, and DM me equity analysis, we'd be happy to send that to them.
Yeah. We'll definitely have your credentials and we'll link everything up for you.
Or if you have those legacy investors where they're looking to, pick up real estate, just DM me legacy and I'll add them to our legacy investor list.
Awesome. Cool. What's your vision for Vara over the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah.
So, ultimately our goal is to, build $1 billion brokerage. We want to help over 1 million people buy and sell real estate. So, that's what we're trying to do, and building the frameworks, building the team, transition. Like it's interesting because like one of the things I learned from Dan was like, you got to go from like doing the thing to like leading the people to do the thing. So that's kind of like where we're in the process of, teaching and training people of like how to do the thing. And then also like create like repeatable, like duplicating myself through other people essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. What does success really look like for you as a father, a business owner, and a man?
Yeah, that's I think that's a great question. I guess the first thought that comes to my mind is like I'm a big follower of Jesus, and like the first thing that comes to my mind is like love the Lord with all your heart. Like and I think that's really why I do what I do. It's not really about the money. It's like, how can I help people, whether they're in a hard situation? Like I was talking to a gentleman the other day. He was living in a house, like the agent sold it to him, didn't do inspections. The property had mold, and he got this like terminal illness that the doctors say it's not reversible. So it's like getting the opportunity to help him get out of that situation.
And that's one of Jesus's cornerstone teachings, is to be of service and to help others in need, which in real estate, like if you're good, you help people and you solve their problems.
Well, yeah. And then through the brokerage also like helping people like break those limiting beliefs of like, oh, there's not enough business out there
mindset
kind of thing. So
yeah,
like just helping people break the chains and create like an amazing life. And that's one of the things that I feel like I think we're called to do as a leader is figure out what our team's goals are and like how do we have a big enough vision to make those dreams happen within our ecosystem. So.
Well, this has been a really good show, man. At the end of every show, because we're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, we do what's called a rapid fire round. And it's going to be fun, and we're just going to throw a bunch of questions at you, and you can answer them in one word or in a short sentence. But it's short, it's sharp, it's generally unfiltered, and it's a fun thing that we like to do at the end of the show. So, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. This one I ask everybody. I'm so curious, but I think I know the answer. But the first one is coffee or tea?
Both.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think you're the first person that's ever said that.
I usually do my green tea first.
Oh, okay.
With a little bit of creatine in it.
Awesome.
And then I'll usually wait about an hour or so and then have
a coffee.
Have coffee.
Cool. What's the first thing that you do every morning?
Pick up my Bible and read the Bible.
Cool. And do you read it by yourself or with your wife or your family? Do you guys do it together?
I guess one of the things I've been doing is I've been reading it with ChatGPT. Is I'll have it like analyze the chapter and give me the key lessons, give me the summary, then read it, and then like go back to the lessons, and it helps me like dive deeper actually into
Mm-hmm.
the word and like the key lessons. Cause sometimes like you'll read stuff and it's like, how does this apply like
Mm-hmm.
to today? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like wandering, the desert in Egypt. How does that
applied to
it's like being a business owner,
Sonoma
like,
County.
yeah, so
which is a good segue. So best neighborhood in Sonoma County. And then what neighborhood in San Mateo County do you like most?
yeah. Best neighborhood in Sonoma County is a secret, so I can't share that here.
Okay.
Because
Tell me after the show.
It's Lakewood Hills. I think a lot of people don't
Lakewood Hills. Cool.
know about that. I mean, like before I met my wife, I knew nothing about like what was beyond the Golden Gate Bridge. You know,
What's the average price point for that neighborhood?
It's gone up a little bit. Average price in Windsor, that's in Windsor. It's about $850,000.
Okay.
Like right
So
around there.
it's approachable.
800. Well, in that neighborhood, it's like a high end neighborhood, so it's closer to be on the lake. The last house we sold was like a record breaking sale. Sold for $1.5 million, which
amazing.
Like in Silicon Valley, that's like
that's like
it's
a cardboard box.
You can barely get into the market there. So,
and then in San Mateo County.
San Mateo County, gosh, I guess. Yeah. Well, what's your favorite neighborhood here in San Mateo County?
So I like San Mateo Park, or I like Aragon. Those are my two favorite, and I think it's probably there's a bit of nostalgia there for me because I grew up in those neighborhoods, and I think they're really really good appreciating neighborhoods. But they're bigger lots.
Yeah.
So you've got a little more.
What are your thoughts about like Portola Valley? Is that still in San Mateo?
That's Santa Clara County.
Oh, that's still Santa Clara County. Okay. But I guess that's like right. I guess I would like.
It's kind of on the cusp.
I would say like Portola Valley.
Portola Valley is beautiful. Woodside is what I would say because that's in San Mateo County.
Yeah.
Woodside is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunities out in the luxury market.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I can't wait to get into those. Another time. The other fourth question is, what's the hardest part of being a realtor?
I guess just not chasing the shiny objects, like just staying focused.
Stay focused, stay locked in. Love that. What's the most rewarding part of being a realtor?
I think it's just being able to have the freedom to, pick and choose who you want to work with. And, I get to coach my kids' soccer team, get to coach T-ball team. It's like, if I had a normal job, probably wouldn't be able to get to do those things.
Something that's kind of a pet peeve for me, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a little old school. Do you prefer phone calls or text messages with your business?
I guess recently it's been messages. I feel like it's pretty easy. And I think, coaching with Dan, that's probably helped unlock that thought process. But I think for real estate, like, I think it's a combination of both, really.
Yeah,
like
100%.
The communication level, like you can't get like, I don't know if you can get like all the communication. Maybe you may need a different process, right?
I think I saw a video of a guy, I don't know if this is true, but I can't remember his name, New York realtor. He closed, I think, a $200 million deal just on a text message.
Yeah.
Just texts.
And I've had that with clients that I already have relationships with, like they're traveling overseas. They're like, Mike, put in an offer and can completely do that.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Somebody like that I just met that I don't know anything about what's important to them.
Yeah.
So I think is it possible? Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
what's your favorite local restaurant?
Yeah. So I got a couple great restaurants. I guess like if I'm down here in the Silicon Valley, I think about like Alexander's Steakhouse. I'm not sure if you've been there.
Yep.
If I'm up in Sonoma County,
there's so many. In
I'm
Sonoma
not sure
County.
if you heard of Starks.
Sounds familiar.
They're like a family that own.
Is that in Healdsburg?
They own actually like a bunch of different restaurants.
Okay.
And it's like, if I was going to open a restaurant, that's who I would model my restaurant.
Yeah.
Cause they do it like so well. They own so many different restaurants. They own like Stark Steak. They own a restaurant called Grossman's. Like if you they own a restaurant called Bird in the Bottle, which is all of their restaurants are like, they have like this theme and it's just different flavors. So if like you ever visiting Sonoma County, look up Starks and look up any of their restaurants and Like,
awesome.
he'll be blown away. And then the other one is Catelli's, which is a Stark's restaurant, and
Gotcha.
that's up in Geyserville. So.
Okay. What's one word that describes you?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about that. I guess like I would say steadfast.
That is one word.
Yeah.
One life lesson your parents had taught you.
I think about my mom, working in tech. She worked for tech for over 30 years and then just got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of the reason why I started my whole entrepreneurial journey, was because I didn't want to be put in that place. But I think the truth is like, if you're adding value to any company or organization, you'll become
successful.
Yeah. So,
how about some advice to your younger self in 5 words or less?
I would say hire a coach, hire multiple coaches. That's like, I think the gateway to like
leveling
you
up.
have an advisor of knowing like, hey, where are the, potholes and how to avoid them. So
cool. Well, that was awesome. Mike, I really appreciate you being here at the show. I'd love for you to let us know how we can find you on social media, your website. Maybe you can share those handles with us.
Yeah, absolutely. The best place is Instagram. You can find me at Mike My Agent. I'd be happy to provide those things to your audience if they wanted a equity evaluation, or if they wanted to be added to our legacy investor list. And who knows, maybe we'll do something.
I hope so.
In the commercial realm.
I hope so.
Sometime in the future.
You guys, another episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report podcast. We really appreciate your time. Click the subscribe button below, and we'll see you on the next episode. Stay tuned.